Hey everyone, Maureen Zappala here. Following up with the comments that I was making about gender specific responses to imposter syndrome, it reminded me of a story years ago when I worked at NASA. It so well exemplifies how men and women respond differently to this thought process. Uh, that it was way back, and I don't remember the year, it was in the 90s. It was quite a while ago, and a group of engineers from my division at NASA, probably four or five of them, took off to go to a conference out in San Francisco, California. While they were in, or no, I guess we knew that they were going to land. And this is going back in the late 80s, perhaps, before the internet. Not a lot of people had cell phones, so we were relying on landlines and snail mail to get information around the country, around the world. But we heard the news that there was this big earthquake in San Francisco. Well, we all panicked because we thought, oh my gosh, we've got five guys from our office that are right there in the middle of the earthquake. Are they okay? Are they okay? Well, we scrambled, we panicked, we uh, tried to get in touch with them. It was, I just remember it being really stressful. But then we heard from them and they were fine. Now, the conference that they were at, and that we found out that the earthquake actually hit while they were in their hotel. They had just gotten to their hotel. I think it was overnight. The conference started the next morning, so it happened in the middle of the night. Well, the conference was canceled, and they managed to make their way back home to Cleveland. Well, about 3, 4 days later, they had this little meeting in our building to give everybody an update on what it was like to be in an earthquake, because we live in Cleveland, we don't get a lot of earthquakes. So we're all jammed into this conference room, and the guys are at the front of the room, and they're each telling their individual story of what it was like. They said, "Oh my gosh, it lurched us out of bed. We couldn't. The lights didn't work. We couldn't find our way through the room. We got into the hallway, pitch black. Nobody had flashlights or candles. We were screaming, and it was just the story was horrific." But their hotel did not sustain any damage, so they themselves were safe. They were just terrified. Well, they're giving this story as a news report, and they're engineers, and so they're talking about, were they, was the building structurally going to be okay? Did they feel it sway? Could they kind of calculate where they were in the darkness? It was really quite funny because I'm sitting in the back of the room, I'm looking around the room. There's me and three secretaries, two secretaries, the only three women in the room out of about 40 people, 40 men. And I'm sitting there thinking, am I the only one wondering, who called your family? Did you tell how did you get in touch with your wife? What did your kids think? How did you function? Were you in touch with each other? I'm asking the relational questions, and they're talking about the structural solidity of the building. This to me just showed so clearly the differences between men and women. Now, what has that got to do with imposter syndrome? Women frame everything in terms of relationships and connections. Men frame everything in terms of facts, data, and their ability to survive, thrive, and progress. So, again, neither is good or bad, better or worse. It just is the way that it is. But I hope that little story gives you a little perspective that, yeah, you know what? We can't expect men to think like us. And guys, we just don't think like you. So it's a beautiful thing, a great, beautiful thing.